Hello, I'm Emily Elias.
My name's Tom Wiggins, and this is Desert Island Dips, the podcast where we pit condiment against condiment and ask, if you were trapped on a desert island, which 5 dips would you take with you?
It's the question that most people
Literally.
are afraid to ask.
Because they just don't want to.
Stupid.
They don't want to face the real truth, do they?
Ketchup, brown sauce, English mustard, ajika, sriracha. They're all on the island of the top 5 condiments of all time.
We just take time to say well done to them.
Congratulations.
Yep, okay.
A feat unto itself. But will the challenger knock them off of their pedestal? Could this be the week for the red legend, Salsa?
That sounds vaguely sort of communist. I like it.
Sure.
What, the red legend?
I wasn't really trying hard, but yeah, why not? Let's bring it.
Is there any communism here?
Not that I came across.
Oh, that's a shame.
Sorry. There's a Latin.
Hopefully people are still listening, even though that bombshell has been dropped, that there's no communism coming up. But
It comes from a Latin root, meaning...
They don't mind a bit of communism down there.
It's Spanish for sauce.
Oh, well, okay. It's not the most surprising thing I've ever heard.
No, but is it surprising that it could be tracked back to Aztec, Mayan, and the Inca civilizations?
I didn't know that, that's for sure.
That's old.
That is very old, yeah.
That's like old-timey times.
Very old.
But on the other side of the world.
Some of them disappeared and there's no trace or anything of what happened to them, isn't there?
Isn't that the Aztecs?
Maybe.
Don't know.
What's the story of salsa?
Okay, so let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
People started mushing together chilies, tomatoes, squash and beans in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
And the Aztecs passed these traditions on from Central America towards the United States and the rest of the world. And that whole sort of big, we're pilfering your yummy condiments colonization, we're very familiar with.
Yeah.
I don't want to get bogged down in that because
Condiment
I feel like
appropriation?
we've done this story before.
Yeah, it's happened.
So I'm going to jump into, a few years on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call them the 1940s.
Okay. Is it because they were around the 1940s?
Yeah, okay, so basically salsa is, something that has kind of bled into up from Mexico and into the States, and it's starting to become popularized, and people are really into canning and preserving food, and so salsa becomes one of those things that is just kind of a food product that's getting added on to sort of a product list. Old El Paso, that is a really big company. They got their start canning tomatoes and canning pinto beans and things like that, and it all kind of disseminates from there. But I want to go and focus in on one man that the Austin Chronicle says made salsa a household name.
That's a big deal. That's the kind of thing we should be talking about on this podcast.
Yeah, let's just ignore the fact that I didn't do a ton of research into other things and focus in on the one guy.
I think once you found a good story, you found a good story, and it's worth telling.
His name? Dave Pace.
Okay.
Or, more formally, David Pace.
David Pace. Not the sort of exotic name I was expecting. He sounds more like someone that was in a Everybody Loves Raymond or something like that.
He was a lovable neighbor, or not a main star.
He's not a main cast member. He's one of Raymond's mates.
He dips in and out throughout the 10 seasons it's on the air, and in the season finale he gets a special shout out for being there, but he was never a focal point of a character.
No, that's not him though, is it?
It might be.
Let's
examine this analogy as we go on. Okay, so Dave Pace.
Or if that works as a big analogy for salsa, we are much better at this than I thought we were.
Keep it in your brain box.
I say you are much better at this than I thought we were.
I don't think I am. Dave Pace. So he was born to a family of poor syrup producers in Monroe, Louisiana.
Okay.
So he's got maple syrup in his blood.
Mm-hmm.
He goes off
That's why you like him.
I like him already.
Yeah.
He gets married in 1941 to a gal named Margaret Emma Bosshart, and she's a fancy lady who's got a dowry, probably, but really she's an heiress to the local Pearl Brewery fortune. So he married up.
Yeah.
So he goes.
She's probably a 8, and he's maybe a 6.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't look at any pictures.
Look at pictures. No, I'm talking. Culturally.
Is that
that
a
fair
thing?
to say? I don't know.
What am I?
We're not getting into that.
I'm worried now because it's going to be alarmingly low.
Doesn't matter. You're married.
Yeah, it's true. I beat the system.
I didn't say what John was.
I'm a work for. So he marries his broad in 1941.
Nice use of broad. Thanks. Yep.
Having a wonderful time. And then, the war.
That's what they all said about it, I think, at the time. Yeah. Oh, no. A war.
I mean, he picked a side.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
The right side.
I thought we were going to take a very dark turn. I was like, that wasn't communism.
No. He fights on the side of the Army Air Corps in India. And then when he's done, goes back to San Antonio. And he starts working in the back of a liquor store. And he starts his own food company there. Okay.
I mean, it's amazing that you can do that, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's like...
You probably can't. I don't know. Maybe you can. I don't know. It feels like something you could do in the 40s, but less so now.
That you could just like start a business in the back of a liquor store and nobody would be like, where's your permits?
There's customers to serve.
Yeah. Do you have a 5-star hygiene rating?
Yeah.
So he's eking out a living by selling like groceries door to door and starting to make like jams and jellies and all sorts of like sauces and condiments and things.
Good on him.
And he's also still doing the maple syrup because he's got like this family connection. Mm-hmm. And at the time, sugar was being rationed. So he kind of had like a nice little like niche market going. He was doing all right. Not like gangbusters, but he was okay.
Yeah. I suppose people were eating maple syrup because they couldn't get sugar. So it was like a replacement, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like 1948, sugar is no longer under ration. So maple syrup is like less valuable. Okay. And Dave decides like, hey, I'm all about the hot sauce.
He's got to just move with the times.
I'm all about the salsa. Mm-hmm. So he decides, okay, I'm going to like drop all of these other products and I'm going to make the maple syrup of San Antonio salsa.
That's a nice name for it. I like that.
To make himself stand out and seem more authentic. Yeah. Instead of calling it
Dave Salsa,
he's going to call it Pace Picante Sauce.
Oh, that's fancy.
Because picante sounds a bit more like...
Sounds quite exotic, doesn't it?
Yeah, they sound like, ooh, what is this? Like you're in the grocery store. What is this picante sauce? Deep down, it's salsa. So
it's just marketing. He's just good at that. We've had people on here before that have just sort of, he had an idea, nailed the marketing,
started running with it. So he gets the whole family involved in this. He's got like Margaret. Should call her Maggie, Pegs. I don't know what do you want.
Well, my mum's called Margaret, but it's Maggie for short. So.
Did she go Maggie?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go Maggie. So Maggie is also an artist. I think that's what you do when you're rich. You can just like be things as well.
Of course, she's the rich one, isn't she?
Yeah. So she like designs the labels for the salsa jars, and she kicks in $150,000, which back then is a lot of money.
Big lot of cash.
Yeah. She borrows that from her mum, and they pay for construction for a factory. And over time, David is just like, I want to beat Heinz. I want to be the Heinz of salsa. Yeah. But the bills were piling up, and he was trying to like make all sort of like a 57 range, and he was just like, no, screw this. I'm going to just focus on...
Literally going to beat Heinz by making more than them. Yeah. Even though as we said on the ketchup episode, 57 is just a random number.
So he's focusing on the picante sauce, the salsa. He's like putting it in every food imaginable. He's even said to have added it to his coffee, and he used to drink it.
Ooh, no, not for me, thanks, Dave.
He was a salsa fanatic.
Yeah. Well, clearly.
And it's important to note at this time in the like early 70s, late 60s, there is a growth of interest in Mexico and Tex-Mex and Southern cooking. And also with the way that food is being distributed and the rise of the grocery store and the tortilla chip, he found a really good place on shelves. And people started, feeling as though they could make this type of food at home, and he was just kind of like right place, right time.
Particularly in Texas as well, right?
Yeah, and then but all throughout America, like it just kind of started to spread because
if it's going to spread from anywhere, it's going to be there.
Yeah. And sales are growing, and he decides, okay, I'm going to try and keep this in the family business. And so he hires his daughter Linda and her husband Christopher Kit Goldsberry.
Great name. Absolutely brilliant name. Sounds like someone from Back to the Future.
I know.
Yeah.
So tensions started to develop within the family. And according to Forbes, Kit Goldberry was a charming man. He was fluent in Spanish. He was a hit with the company's primarily Hispanic workforce. And Kit was, quote, just a real genius in relating to people.
I can see where this is going.
Forbes says regional brokers loved the tall, blonde, blue-eyed Kit because his appearance made the product easier to sell to northern and western states.
Yeah.
And Kit so takes on this role as being the front man, and Dave, like, he rarely goes on the road. He's just kind of like riding back with the sauce and just like.
Do we know how Dave feels about this?
I'm gonna go with not super pleased.
I feel like I'm Dave, and if Kit turns up, I wouldn't be particularly happy about him sort of stealing all the limelight.
But he's doing like a really good job of selling the sauce, so it's like a double-edged sword. And by 1976, we've got sales at 2.7 million.
Blimey.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So 1976 is a complicated year for the family.
Okay.
Maggie and Dave get divorced.
Oh, no.
And the following year, Maggie pays Dave $2 million to control the company and turn over the and she wants to turn over the management to Kit. She wants Kit to run the shop. So Dave is kind of getting like...
Is there something going on between those two?
No. No. So Definitely not. Okay. 100% not. She just like saw that like Kit was really good at running the business, and Dave, she obviously had just broken off a marriage with. So I think she just probably trusted her son-in-law to like run the company.
Yeah, I just feel like she's using it as a way to get back at Dave.
Well, we'll never know, will we? So Dave looks like he's now 63. Mm-hmm. Spending a lot of time playing golf and working on his side businesses, his side hustles.
He's probably not having the worst time. He's got $2 million plus whatever he'd made before that.
Yeah, and he's not really ready to
retire almost anyway.
Yeah, and he's kind of getting ready to like get out of the company. Yeah, but he doesn't want Kit to like fully take over.
No, because you don't know what he's going to do with it, do you?
No. And so he gets all the board of directors together and he gets them to block Margaret from making Kit the sort of like heir apparent to the Pace throne, and even threw her out of his office when she appealed to him to stop, which is a move that still raises her ire. Forbes magazine was very detailed.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is like a quote from Margaret. Here I was, the owner of the company. They told me I shouldn't push Kit because he'd never be a businessman, that he was just a child. They felt that I was betraying Dave and that I should fire Kit.
That's really good acting.
Thank you. But she was like,
have you ever been on the radio?
Once or twice.
Have you been in the Archers?
Once or twice. Uncredited. So they're fighting. Kit manages to get control of the factory.
Yeah.
And he does really well. But sadly,
of course, bloody Kit.
The year he gets control, the following year, or the following couple of years, it puts such a strain on his marriage to Linda that they end up getting divorced. Mm. And then Linda's like, in the divorce settlement, I'll give you my stake in Pace. So Kit has got the company.
He gets divorced and gets everything?
Yeah.
Blimey.
She paid him off and he got everything.
I feel like Kit's one of those people that everything just lands in his lap.
And Margaret says a part of like the sale that happened where like Kit got Linda's shares, he said that she would never sell it on to somebody else. It would stay within the family. Yeah. Kit denies such a promise being made.
Of course he does.
This is kind of gets into the thing. I was like, is he a condiment good guy?
No.
Is he a condiment bad guy? So 1991 is the year that salsa becomes America's #1 condiment, surpassing ketchup. Yeah. And Pace is one of the top in the market. Yeah. And so it starts to get a lot of like interest from other companies looking at whether or not they could take it over. 1993 rolls around and Dave Pace dies of heart failure. He was 79. But apparently, in the dying days, literal dying days, Dave had Kit at his bedside, and they were reliving stories of their youths and like all of getting the company together
when they were it was them against the world kind of thing. Yeah.
So I feel like he patched things up with Dave
Yeah.
towards the end, so that's kind of nice. Like
Yeah.
he definitely like
He's not a total baddie. He just seems to have he hasn't. I don't feel like he's had anyone else's sort of interests at heart, particularly in all the decisions he made.
no, well, maybe he's had Kit's interests at heart.
Well, yeah, his own. That's what I mean.
So anyway, 1993, 1994, he's kind of like fishing around. He goes to Goldman Sachs, reputable guys there to help him line up a buyer, and Campbell's Soup comes out of the woodwork.
Okay.
1.12 billion.
Blimey.
That's not bad for a business that started at the back of a liquor store.
Yeah,
like that's crazy. So you'd think the Pace family would have been consulted about the sale. Yeah.
No?
Kit announced the sale to his employees and to the public, and most of the family found out on the local news.
Oh, no. So did they get... But the family are out of the business completely by this point, are they?
Pretty much. He's kind of like...
So he doesn't have to consult... I mean, I know it's not necessarily... Just because you don't have to do it doesn't mean...
It's like a polite gesture,
Yeah, that's
right?
what I mean, yeah.
So apparently Kit is really generous with the employees, and he gives everybody like a month's salary for every year they worked at the company in the sale.
That's pretty good, yeah.
That's a good guy.
Yeah.
But none of the proceeds of the sale went to the Pace family members. So how do you feel? Is he a condiment good guy? Is he complicated?
It's very complicated, yeah. This is the thing, isn't it? Like, there's some people that it's very easy to say condiment good guy.
Yeah.
Most of the ones that we've had. But most of the time in the real world, it's not as simple as that, is it? So I feel a bit like he has done the kind of stuff that you should do in that situation on the whole. But then when it comes down to the sort of the way he's dealt with it relating to the original family, not sure. So I'm not going to say, no, I'm not saying condiment good guy, I'm afraid. I think to be a condiment good guy, you have to go above and beyond what the sort of general expectation should be of you in a particular situation. And for me, he hasn't done that there.
Okay, now let's weigh out these facts.
Yep.
Brother-in-law Paul Pace, he... at the time of this quote, he was 51 years old. He's a renowned hand surgeon in San Antonio.
Okay.
He says, Kit was responsible for a great deal of growth at Pace. And none of it would have happened without him. And at this point, none of the family members had worked there full-time at the company or had any equity. So he was like... This
is what I mean. Like, you've done it according to the rules, but sometimes there aren't rules covering things that you know... morally, not necessarily morally, but things that you probably should do given the history of something.
Well, 4 other Paces filed 2 lawsuits against Kit in 1995, and if James Ward Pace Jr., so it would be Dave Pace's nephew, says, quote, "Everybody got screwed in that deal except for Kit. Kit is Gordon Gecko," he said, referring to Wall Street.
Wall Street, yeah.
He got divorced from Linda.
Yeah.
He never remarried, but he kept the company of a woman named Angela. She worked for the Goldberry's Charitable Foundation, and she has basically made like very sizable gifts to children's hospitals and family centers in the San Antonio area.
Okay.
Essentially with his money.
Yeah, that's good.
Ever since.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's a good guy thing.
That is, but it's kind of being done independently of him in a way, isn't it? She's doing that.
I mean, like, I'm sure they consult each other.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but like, that's... If he wants to be considered a good guy, he needs to take ownership of some of these actions. And the other thing I was going to say is that the only problem is when you now get people calling out of the woodwork going, "Hey, I'm a Pace, I should be getting some money out of this.
I'm a nephew.
I should be getting some money out of this." Like, not necessarily the case. And I don't know. It's hard to say because of what...
we weren't there. We don't know.
No. And after it's moved out of the hands of the original person, you know, Dave got $2 million for selling it. He decided to sell it if he wanted to sort of retain control and hope that his family were looked after at a later date, then you make sure that's part of the deal, don't you?
I think that the thing is, like, through a lot of these condiment stories,
serious.
it's been a bit happy families.
Yeah.
We haven't really had one where it's been a bit like dynasty and backstabby and like corporate. Like, everybody seems to, like, in the family be like, this is our business. We rally around this business, and it's big enough that we like all are together. This, I think, the story of the Pace Salsa shows that, like, hey, real people get it gets complicated.
It gets complicated when big money is involved and it's just a family
Divorce,
business.
yeah.
And you bring other people in, not entirely from outside, but you bring other people in and they have a significant effect on your fortunes. It's quite rare that it stays within the family for so long, though, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
it feels,
yeah. Well, it depends. Like, usually it's kind of like they either go like two ways. They sell out hard, like they like instantly like sell out super hard to the big corporation, or they like keep it in the family until they can't hold on no longer.
What was the avocado guy?
That
made no money out of anything.
He made no money out of it, but they had the pride.
That's probably going a little bit too far in the other direction.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for a happy medium here.
Do you want a happy story about salsa?
I'd love one, yeah.
Okay, so are you familiar with baseball?
Doesn't sound very happy there. I am familiar with it, yeah. It's like American Rounders, isn't it?
Okay. What's a rounder?
And Rounders is like English stool ball. Stool ball is a specifically Sussex game that hardly anybody listening to this will ever have heard of.
I feel like your explanation needs another explanation, which needs another explanation.
Yeah.
So let's just like brush over. Have you heard of baseball before, Tom?
I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to let people look it up themselves.
So one day last year,
that's baseball, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals infielder Matt Carpenter couldn't stop vomiting.
That's not funny.
He had a really bad stomach bug. He was on his third day of the illness. He was super dehydrated. He had to have 2 IVs in him at the same time.
Blimey.
He hadn't eaten in 48 hours, and he needed to get on the field to play.
They play every 2 days, don't they?
Oh, they play like insane amount of games. So he had no choice. He needed to try and eat something. And what did he go to?
Salsa.
That's
weird.
A homemade salsa. And
because you'd feel like the spiciness of it wouldn't be good for you if you're being sick.
Exactly. Contrary to any form of like...
Yeah, it wasn't the doctor's
logic.
Advice, was it?
No, it definitely wasn't. And ever since he did that, that season, the St. Louis Cardinals were on fire.
Blimey.
And he had like a heck of a game, and after that, game after that. So his homemade salsa became a part of the pregame ritual for the St. Louis Cardinals, and they ended up making they had t-shirts, they had hats, they had dugout celebrations, they had fans who had like giant signs that said, "It's gotta be the salsa" near home plate. And they made it to the playoffs.
This is a spectacular marketing stunt.
Isn't this like Moneyball, but for salsa? Like, come on.
No, but I get where you're coming from. That would be if they looked. But it would be that would be if they looked at all the really expensive salsa that everyone else was buying, and they were like, "No, there's some underrated salsa here that's going to do a good job for us."
No, but it was homemade salsa. Like,
no, I know.
It was homemade.
Yeah.
Like, salsa totally saved the day.
And I'm glad. So.
But you think that would be like, oh, that's surely got to be the only salsa-based baseball story.
I'm going to guess by your tone of voice that it's not.
No, there's another one. Okay. This one coming from Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Indians. Mm-hmm. He's making his own brand of salsa that's sold in Ohio. Mm-hmm. Now, portions of it go to good causes, a.k.a. the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, the Cleveland Baseball Federation, and the Boys and Girls Club of Cleveland.
Okay.
Now, it comes in 2 varieties, mild and medium, and it...
How can you have a medium if there's no, hot? It's not medium then, is it?
But that's like hot sauce. This is salsa. Salsa isn't hot sauce, right?
No. Well, it's not medium then, that's what I mean.
Well... Medium
suggests there's a middle, right?
But there's no top end.
There's no top end, yeah.
So this is what I found really frustrating about this story. The name of the sauce is Jose. Mm-hmm. And the way the article was written up, it was like they had invented this this baseball chant that goes, Jose, 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 Jose. And it's like,
No.
America, hold up. This
That's
guy
just
did
ole,
not.
ole.
Yeah, he did not. This is not like a chant that was created purely by this like condiment. Anyway, Jose says that he grew up in the Dominican Republic. Salsa's always been a part of his diet. He product tested this like out the yang, and he's really proud of it. And the power of salsa, again, doing good things in the community.
I would say that's easier to stamp with the condiment good guy approval stamp than Kit is. Because it's just pure good. That's just pure goodness. There,
so Jose
right?
Ramirez gets the stamp of condiment good guy.
Apart from pretending you invented ole ole.
Another confusing thing. This is not related to Jose Ramirez, but this is a fast food. I don't know if you saw this, but last year Taco Bell confused the hell out of people, mainly the internet, when it launched a breakfast salsa sachet.
That sounds a bit weird.
Company press release said Taco Bell's latest condiment is described as a less spicy salsa, quote, created specifically for the most important meal of the day.
I mean, Taco Bell isn't really a thing here.
No, but like breakfast salsa versus like...
Yeah, I know what you mean. But like, so, I don't know what their breakfast food involves. Is there a breakfast
like quesadilla?
Taco?
Yeah.
So has it got like...
eggs in it as well.
Eggs and bacon and stuff in it? That actually sounds quite nice.
Huevos rancheros, etc. Food and Wine magazine put an article asking very sarcastically, how many times have you sat down to enjoy an omelet in the morning only to open a jar of salsa and think to yourself, this is really more of a lunchtime condiment?
I need the breakfast version of this.
Do you think that condiments have like a meal category, or can a breakfast condiment and a lunchtime condiment be two different things so that it's all just the same thing?
There's probably some that you don't want to... The spicier sauces you maybe don't want to be eating first thing in the morning. By brunch, you're probably okay. You
also think like 6 a.m. hot sauce you think is like too far?
And I can't see I don't know what I'd be eating mustard with at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know I'd be eating anything with 6 o'clock. No, not at that point of the day. That would just be straight brown sauce for me.
Leftover roast beef.
Not a common breakfast food for me. So I think there's some truth in that. Actually, they were being flippant, I'm guessing.
They were,
but check yourselves. I think there's some...
You think there's a tier of like breakfast, lunch and dinner?
I just think there's... No, not necessarily. I don't think like there's these are breakfast ones, these are lunch ones, these are dinner ones. But I think there were some that I would be... I wouldn't think about eating at breakfast time, but wouldn't think twice about eating any other time of the day.
And heads up, Australian McDonald's right now is selling loaded fries with guacamole and tomato salsa. 2
condiments. McDonald's is doing that.
Yeah, in Australia.
Blimey. Australia, you've gone off the rails.
Is there another thing they've done that's really got you going?
What was the other?
I don't know. It's going off the rails. It implies that there's more than one thing of them just serving like salsa.
No, that's the only thing. That's the one thing that sent them off the rails and all of their deadly animals. I watch Neighbours every day now, though, so I can't be too down on them. Have
there been any salsa-based storylines on Neighbours?
No, there was one with a like an Amazon Alexa voice assistant type thing that they made. They invented one of their own, like Neighbours' own one.
Oh. What's it called?
I can't remember. Lila or something. Lyra. I did genuinely think about like trying to find out more about it and write something about it because I thought it was interesting.
I guess
Do you not think that's interesting?
Yeah,
the technology that exists in the Neighbours universe that is obviously supposed to be other things that do exist. Normally it's social media, but I think they talk about actual I think they talk about like Facebook and stuff these days.
They always have like that fake sort of like chat message thing that they use. I actually think it's quite pioneering to have like a fake Alexa in the sort of mix, because I'm not seeing any other shows incorporating like
exactly.
I think a lot of writers
are
having like a hard time incorporating text messages in.
Sometimes you get the ones where they pop up on
onto
the screen and stuff.
Yeah, it's like that's how we communicate. Like we can't pretend it's 2000 and we don't have this like sort of technology anymore.
Yeah, because otherwise half your storylines fall down.
But I do feel like as a tool for writers in Hollywood. They are not using like FaceTime as much as they could be.
That one like horror movie studio is doing it, and like they make whole films out of it, don't they?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They do. There's been a few now where they basically do whole films that are told. The story is told entirely through FaceTime calls.
Well, I think if I was a commissioning editor for such and such magazine, I would pay you money to talk to me about fictionalized technology.
Fictional technology.
Because Neighbours is ahead of the universe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you want to hear another weird story about tacos?
Of course.
But salsa?
Well, and salsa, hopefully.
Yeah. I stumbled across the corporate blog for Old El Paso.
I bet this is amazing.
It's really not. So they
I meant in a bad way, but
yeah, like it's like sad amazing. It's like my internet searches. It's sad amazing.
Is that what you just put in?
Yeah.
Just fire up
sad
Google.
amazing Google. News last 24 hours.
Show me something sad amazing.
They broke a Guinness World Record for lining up as many tacos in a row, and like from end to end.
Yeah,
that was they got 1,567 tacos end to end. It was promoting their brand new stand and stuff tacos, which basically look like a weird bowl.
Is a taco a hard one?
These are hard shell bowl sort of tacos. Tacos can either be soft shell or hard shell.
Either one. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they took away the record from Emory University. Take that. And they lined them up, and they had a Guinness of Records official there.
Well, they're all empty. They just lined up the things.
They lined no, they filled them. They filled them with like taco fillings.
Yeah.
And they had them on like tables that kind of like snaked around their like corporate headquarters in London. And they had a woman there from the Guinness Book of World Records because
she verified it.
Sure.
You have to. It doesn't count otherwise.
How do you get that job? Because if like my job was just to like wear a fun scarf and show up at people's workplaces doing daft things to be like, yeah, it's official. I want that job.
You've done that.
Nailed it.
I think it's more serious than that.
How?
Because you got to make sure all the rules have been adhered to and all that stuff.
We all know I'm very detail oriented.
Oh yeah, I know. But that didn't just go to waste, though, did it?
I think it did.
Oh,
I didn't, or maybe they had like a staff. They only had
surely they would get. When did this happen? Do you know?
I didn't actually look at the date, but
they
fairly
would
recently.
Get such a backlash if they wasted all that food. Surely,
to achieve the mind-boggling feat, it involved 23 people, 19.
That's not that many, is it?
19 employees and 4 chefs from the canteen. But like, okay, so 23 people did this.
Yeah.
How many tacos could those people have like eaten to themselves? Like, I feel like a lot probably went to waste.
What I mean is that you can give them away to people that need to eat them, can't you?
You could do anything. Did they? They didn't. If they did, I feel like there'd be another line in this corporate blog post saying,
and by the way,
we donated to shelter.
Yeah. By the way, we didn't waste them. We did give them away to people that need to eat. But they didn't, apparently, by the sounds of it.
Doesn't look
At least
like
we're
it.
going to assume they didn't because they didn't mention it.
Oh, sorry. It's from 2014 was when this record was posted, so not very recently, but
yeah, but
close enough.
Recent enough that if anyone got a wind of it, they'd just like kicked a load of tacos into the bin at the end. That they would have got busted for it. Surely, that is not cool behaviour, guys.
It's not Cho problem.
That is not good.
Puns. On the island, dare I ask? How do you feel about salsa?
I do quite like it. It's sort of a bit like my problem with it is that I know when we were saying how it's not spicy. I sort of come to it going, this will be nice. This to be, and I want a little kick from it, and you don't tend to get it. The problem that I'm having is that I really like tomatoes. And it's it's almost like this is sort of grown up ketchup.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have if I was having fish and chips, I'm not going to have salsa instead of ketchup with my chips.
But then if you like had that fish in a fish taco, it's quite nice and refreshing. Actually, like add some more carbs, put it in a shell.
Chips in it.
Lovely.
They are very different meals.
Deep fried fish, salsa. Also, what happened to that trend of like making nachos at home? Because that was like a really big thing I was growing up. What?
Never did that.
Like what? Melting cheese on nacho chips and like having salsa?
Nachos are just they're massively overrated, aren't they?
Not when you're making them at home. It's like a Friday night. TGIF is on. You're about to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch. What's going to make this situation better? I know, homemade nachos.
It feels to me like it's like only a step above microwave popcorn.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah. I'm not why you're saying that disparagingly.
I'm just not that fussed. I do like salsa, but I don't. It's not for me. It's not It's not something that I need in my life. Do you know? Is that bad?
No, it's fine. It's a total valid opinion. I like salsa. I think I probably eat it a lot. I eat it a lot, but I do tend to make it myself, which is what I guess I've been kind of like fumbling over for the last like few minutes.
That's a good thing.
It's very tasty.
Yeah, it is.
This is like my hack for going to one of those like burrito places.
Yeah.
Where it's like the scoop and dump onto
Take your own salsa.
No, because I agree with you that you don't get enough heat in the salsa, but I like the chunky tomatoes in my burrito. Yeah. So I ask for a 50-50 of can I get half the fresh tomato and then half the hot.
Okay.
So I make kind of like
so
my
you're sort
own.
of making it yourself.
Yeah, but I just want to put that out there into the universe. If you find yourself at a burrito making establishment, don't be afraid to speak up when they say mild, medium, hot. Be like, can I get some mild and hot please? Together? Yeah. And they'll be like, I don't care. I make minimum wage. I'll do whatever you tell me, you crazy lady.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Start
a revolution.
I just think the main thing is most of the other things on here, I'm always like, I can't eat this thing without that. Mm-hmm. And I can't think of a situation where I'm sitting there, and nachos is the only one where you're like, I need something to eat this with. But there are other options, and there's nothing about it. Nothing in my brain is making me go, you must have salsa on this island or with whatever food. And that for me is why I can't put my full weight behind it for a place on the island.
I like salsa. I'd be happy if it was on the island. I could take it or leave it. It's not going to be a deal breaker for me, but I like salsa, and I don't think we should put salsa down. I like that it's got a complicated history, and it's got complicated flavor. You're a great condiment. You got good guys. You got not so sure gray area guys. I don't want to call anybody a bad guy because I'm not decided of who they are yet.
It's not like Tabasco
history
and the slave trade.
Yeah.
We've had this before with like other condiments. I think American mustard and a few where we've said, look, we've got nothing against you. We think you're doing a great job. You're serving a good purpose. Salsa. Keep it up. Keep working hard, and maybe one day you will make it. But at the moment, nothing negative to say about you. Delicious condiment, great job, but it's no.
Yeah.
Good.
Fine.
That's all we've got time for.
Register your complaints about our reasonings by going to Desert Island Dips. On Facebook.
Just go to Desert Island Dip.
You put it in the internet, you'll find somewhere.
On Facebook, it's Desert Island Dips. On Twitter, it's Desert Island Dip.
Single dip.
On Instagram, it's Desert Island Dips.
All the dips.
And on email, it's desertislanddips@gmail.com. That's all of them?
That is all of them. I monitor the email address regularly. I will reply to non-spam.
Thanks very much for listening. Do join us again next time on
Desert Island Dips. I love you.
Bye.